Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Unmasking Mckamey, our live series, part 4, where we have been, to be honest, lucky and privileged enough to have Russ Mckamey's daughter, Lindsay, who's going to come on and tell her story. She's going to tell you guys in her own words, and I just hope you guys are ready, because I'm sure this is going to be an amazing moment for a lot of the Mckamey Manor community and people that have been following this story all over it. And I just want to point out as well, if you're watching this back, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and this is my third live stream show of the day. My brain is fried, so I apologize. So we're just going to get stuck right in and introduce our guest. So Lindsay, thank you very much for a really crucial point. Just wait till you have a drink out your bottle and introduce you.
I need some Pedialyte. I'm dehydrated from all the crying.
Yeah,
no food earlier.
Yeah, it's all good. But thank you so much for reaching out.
Yeah, so weird and wonderful. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and I think everyone is going to have questions. And I know we talked a little bit before we went live about possible follow-up. I don't want to bombard you too much tonight. So if we were to gather up some questions, and even if you decide you don't want to come back, if I can put them to you in an email, just in case we cover bases. I just don't want you to get too bombarded. Yeah.
No,
okay. All right. Wow. I'm really looking rough. Okay. So
same.
Thank you, everyone that's joined us back in. Please like, please share, please pass this around. I think you all know how big a deal this is. And rather than you guys sitting listening to me ramble on for the third show, I'm just going to hand you straight over to Lindsay. And I just, we'll take it slow. We'll take it slow. So, Lindsay, thank you and welcome. Welcome. I really appreciate you being here. Why don't you just for anyone who has just joined us, why don't you tell us who you are and how you fit into the Mckamey Manor story? I mean, it's fairly obvious, but let's just go down that road. So yeah, tell us all about it.
My name is Lindsay. I am Russ Mckamey's daughter. I have not seen my dad since I was 13, and I'm almost 22 now. My brother and I had a pretty interesting childhood that still affects us to this day, and we've never really talked about it except with like people who we're really close with, because it's really hard to explain, as I'm sure you guys can understand. It's a very strange situation, but I mean, I don't want to say that I'm jumping on a bandwagon, because it sounds like there's negative meaning behind that, but
I think now is the time. I think now is the time. What you're trying to say.
I mean, I saw Carol make a video. Carol was my stepmom from the ages of 5 to 13, and she just brought back a lot of things that made me be like, "Oh my God, this was really crazy." And I think, I don't want to put my dad on blast here. I don't have a relationship with him, but I do want to say that I don't believe my dad. I don't believe my dad is a bad person. I think that he is sick, and I think that he had a traumatic childhood.
Okay.
And I think that he's lost every single person in his life because of his illness. And he knows that he has it. He knows he's mentally ill. He's dealt with it his entire life. And I don't think that he's a bad guy. I think that he has issues. And that's what I want to say. I want to tell you guys, he's not a pedophile. He never touched my brother and I. In fact, he's quite the opposite of a pedophile. He is terrified of children because he has OCD, because of what happened to him when he was little, that has affected him his entire life, because he is paranoid that he might be a pedophile. But he is not a pedophile.
Okay.
In my opinion, in my mom's opinion.
Do you think that there's any trace of predatory sort of behavior within him?
Predator in a different way. He's predatory towards women, towards
absolutely,
who he feels that he can control. I mean, he's a narcissist, and I wouldn't necessarily go as far to say he's a psychopath, because he does have very heavy emotion. He's an emotional person. He's sensitive. He wells up at commercials. He, when we were around, we were kids, he loved us so much. But he just has these issues, and he did mentally and verbally and psychologically abuse us. But he didn't, I don't want to say he didn't mean to. It's just, it's a hard balance of trying to figure out where his head is at, because you can't understand someone who's ill like that unless you are
Okay.
also ill. But I don't think that he's predatory towards children personally. When I was little, he wouldn't even go near me. He wouldn't hug me. He wouldn't touch me because he's paranoid and he has OCD and all these issues. But also, I want to say I haven't seen him in 10 years.
Yeah,
What can happen after you lose both of your children? And
absolutely.
if you're already mentally unstable, I can't imagine what losing both of your children at the same time would do to you.
I can't imagine. I've got kids, and it would be devastating.
Yeah. And he loves us. He does. Which was a crazy thing to deal with, because when your dad loves you, why does he hurt you? But when you have severe mental illness, OCD, bipolar disorder, all of these things that he definitely has. It's very confusing as a child, but I can't blame him. He's ill. I can't blame him.
Yeah. And do you think that Russ has had any sort of support network at any point throughout his mental illness that he's, used or has been offered to him? Or has it always been him sort of trying to deal with it by himself?
Well, when I was younger, I mean, he had a small audience because we lived in San Diego, and he was kind of viral in San Diego because at the time what he was doing was crazy and was weird. Um, but nothing like what it is now. He definitely had
Okay.
people who thought it was strange, and who anyone who knew him personally quickly fell in love with him because he's very charismatic. He would always call himself Mr. Personality because he has this really big, bright personality. But then you get to know him and everything changes. So if there was any bad reputation in San Diego, it was the people who knew him. People who didn't know him just thought he was weird and crazy.
Okay.
But it's only escalated to where it is now because of how obviously
Do you
it is.
do you is it possible that the Russ you remember metaphorically died when he lost you and your brother, and there's a possibility that he has grown into something completely different? Or do you feel that
I'm sorry.
it's okay, it's all right, it's okay, hang on a moment. Yeah, don't worry.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I when I was about to leave, he I was the last straw of his sanity. I mean, I was his daughter.
Yeah.
And he had already lost his son. Russell, my brother, left before I did. Came back every now and then, but always left again and finally he said no. I mean,
Okay.
he attempted to commit suicide in front of me to get me to stay, which he also did to Carol many times, and to my mom. It's a tactic he uses to get people to stay.
Okay.
There is a history of suicide in our family, so it was very scary for me.
Of course, it'd be traumatic for you, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, my whole childhood was just taking care of him and making sure he was okay and making sure that he still loved me. And I mean, all of these deep daddy issue type things that you've heard of.
Yeah, well, I think we can allow you some. Don't worry.
But I wouldn't say it's saying something died with him when I left. I have no idea, but from what I've heard, based off what Holly is saying and based off of what Carol said, because she stayed quite a long time after I left, it's progressed. It's absolutely gotten worse since I was a kid.
Yeah, I think when we hear your words, I don't think anyone's spoken about your dad this week the way that you have and painted the picture that you have. I mean, you're not denying the mental illness, you're not denying the physical or the mental abuse and the torment and things like that, but certainly it's a different take. And I think you're correct in saying things have maybe progressively got worse. And I know in my country, in the UK, mental health care is free. You don't have to pay for anything like that. And I know obviously with us being in the US, I don't really know how it all works. So I don't know what you would have access to. And
Well, the hard thing is with dad is that he goes through back and forths of acknowledging his mental illness and being
Okay.
really afraid of it and completely denying it. So most of the time he'll be angry if you bring it up. He was diagnosed by a doctor with all of these things, multiple
Okay.
things, including OCD. Um, but he has a really hard time accepting it. Mental illness, like I said before, runs heavily in our family. His mom,
Okay.
my grandma, had OCD. His father committed suicide. It's very prevalent in our family. And, I just want to say the main reason that I'm coming on here is, like I said before, not to put my dad on blast. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of him. All of you guys are kind of, commenting like, what the fuck? Like, I wanted more like drama, which I'll get to. But what
Listen, I just want to make it clear to everybody. We're here to tell the truth. We're here to give everyone involved.
I kind of want to make this more about a discussion about mental illness because it
Yeah,
hasn't been this entire time. Even, I mean, Holly
absolutely.
kind of delved into it, but Holly is just playing such a giant victim right now, which I understand she was in a bad relationship, but first of all, she wasn't in it for 3 years. She was in it for a fairly short amount of time in comparison to my brother, Carol, my mom, So I think she,
I think we can all agree with that for sure. I think it's a completely different form of mental capture and things like that. And yeah, I think touching on the mental health side isn't something we've focused on. And just to let you know, this whole series, I mean, it's been an evolving thing. I've come in at this very late, and I'm learning the whole history behind it all. There's so many sections to your dad's story. There's you and your brother, there's Carol, there's Holly, there's the manor, there's the people he worked with, there's the people that went through it. It's a massive story. And, I just want to let you touch on the points that you want to do and get your story across. I mean, when you guys left, was there any contact with your dad at all, or was it just once you guys were gone, it was you were gone basically?
I blocked a lot of that time out.
Sure.
To a kind of a crazy extent that I didn't actually realize until I was listening to Carol's interview, and I was like, "I don't remember this," but then talking to my mom, and she's like, "That happened," and I'm like, "Holy shit," I just, like, I don't remember a lot of random things because I blocked it out. So when I left, I think I came back it was around Christmas time, and I think I came back for Christmas, and the Christmas was just awful. Holidays were always awful at our house because it always turned into something, and it was always about dad and his issues and us not doing enough for him and us ruining the holiday. Um, but it was hard. It was really hard, especially as a young woman. I mean, I was in the seventh grade. I was, 13 going on 14, and I had no idea how wonderful it was going to be that I was leaving, but I also was so petrified for, like, I would say 3 years that he was
Yeah.
gonna come after me, or I mean, I would be in school and I would have to tell all of my teachers, just, if you ever hear from this person and they say that they're picking me up and they say they're my dad, please call my mom. Like, it was just what my life was. Not to say that I think he would ever physically hurt me, but it's just kind of hard to express the fear of psychological and emotional trauma, because I feel like people only ever talk about physical trauma when it comes to abuse, but it's just as hard. Um, and you know, it was definitely weird, the situation of leaving. I can't speak for my brother. My brother was lucky enough to move to a completely different state with his
Yeah.
mom. We have two different moms, same.
Okay.
And so he was completely gone, and I was still in San Diego. I was still 10 minutes away driving from my dad at my mom's house.
And what was it like when your brother left? I mean, obviously you guys sound super close now, like super duper duper close, and
That is
having
devastating.
different moms and being in different places. I mean, how did that affect you guys? I mean, that must have been like fairly traumatic in itself as well.
Yeah, it, it was. We definitely weren't as close when we were younger because
Okay.
we got separated when he was 11 and I was, I don't even know how old, but he's 8 years older than me. So we
Yeah.
got separated very young, but he kept coming back every year or so, putting faith in dad and being like, maybe he's better now. I'll come visit San Diego, see my sister. Um, and that's how we got close, was by him coming back and making music together because he's a music producer. And really in
That's
my
awesome.
teens and through adulthood, we've gotten the most close because he left when I was little, which, he absolutely should have. So.
Okay. Well, I think there's been a few questions popping up in the side chat and things like that. So I know a lot of people are showing a lot of support about the mental illness side, and um, like I say, it's something that nobody I really feel has touched on, and it is, you know, there's clear signs of a lot of issues, for sure. But Cap, is there any questions that you've seen that have been coming up in the side chat? Sorry, again, it's for my brain is just liquefied. So if there's anybody on the Discord that wants to post any questions, stick them in the side chat for me. And if you guys want to ask any questions, get posting them, and we'll make sure that we get as many of them done as we can. Is there anything else you want to kind of touch on with us with regards to your story, Lindsay? Like, I really don't want you to feel like you're in a box here, and you have to sort of stick to something. I just want you to kind of speak freely, and if you're happy to do that, I'd like you to.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely a lot of things about the haunt that aren't true.
Okay, well, enlighten us. Let's hear. Let's hear.
A lot of it is like movie magic. A lot of it is not real. So a lot of people freak out because they see the needles and the pulling of the teeth, and they see the blood. The needles are retractable. You're not being injected with anything. My dad is
Okay.
terrified of drugs. It's part of his OCD. Therefore, he would never drug someone. That's why he's so against all drugs and all drinking, is because he associates drinking and drugs with bad people. And so he's terrified of it. And that's why he
Okay.
does these drug tests, because he doesn't want anyone around the manor who does drugs, even like medical marijuana. He's not about it. So he doesn't drug you. This is how my dad kind of makes it, how he lives with himself with what he does, is he really does think of it as a game, as a play. When I was little, he'd always tell me, it's just a play, it's just a show. I'm an entertainer. I'm here to entertain. That's what his thing is, you know? So when he does these crazy things, it really is, unfortunately, mind over matter. And obviously, you're seeing it on camera. It is edited to look crazier than it is.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm not saying it's not crazy. It is crazy. But when it comes to the getting people's teeth pulled, those little pliers are rubber.
Yeah. Yeah.
You feel like you're getting your teeth pulled because you're being mentally tortured, and you believe what's happening to you to be real.
Sure.
That's what's happening. You're not really being drugged. You feel high because you were just had a needle injected into you and you're being tortured. Like, it's all, I mean, one of the things that when I was younger and my dad would practice on me was, mind over matter, because he wanted me to be mentally strong, because he is not.
Okay.
So he would put me through things, put me in the haunt, do certain things to me to trick my brain, which was very traumatic, because the brain is an extremely strong, resilient thing, but it's also very easily tricked. And his whole little thing is just a trick. It's just a show. Not to say that the things that are happening to these people aren't real. To them, they are real. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing about mental, manipulation, is that it is real to them. So it almost doesn't matter if he's actually doing it or not. If it feels real to you, then that's your truth.
Sure.
The only thing real physically, to my knowledge, that he does, yes, he does make you gag and force feed you things, which is disgusting, is the shaving of the head and all that. That is real. He does do that. And it does get really physical. He does blindfold you and push you around and make you go in cold water. All that stuff is real. I'm just saying the
Sure.
really intense stuff that makes you think, how has this man not been arrested, is because it's not actually happening.
Okay, but I just for sheer clarity, we can only really tie that back to your memories. What has happened in the last 10 years.
Right. I also know my father, and I know his
Sure.
OCD.
Sure.
And I know what his triggers are, and that's not something that's going to change over time. It might be like he progresses or gets worse, but I know what his fears are. He's afraid of drugs. He's afraid of alcohol. When it comes to other people being involved, he thinks you're a bad person and that you have bad things happening around you. And he also knows that he cannot pull your teeth out. You know what I mean? Like, he's not an idiot. He's sick, but he's not an idiot. He knows he can't pull your teeth out. He knows he can't inject you with drugs. He would be in jail. But that
You,
doesn't mean that it doesn't feel extremely real to these people. You know what I mean? And that's what's sick. It's not about what's actually physically happening, in my opinion. It's the psychological torture. That is what's wrong, and it should be taken as seriously as it is being, in my opinion.
okay. And where do you think the line for Russ and between what people think is fact and fiction, right? And again, everyone is getting a chance to put their opinions across, and I'm I'm glad that you're putting yours over, and you're sticking with the that you know your dad best, and I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. It's just I think a lot of people are surprised to hear what you're saying, and
And that's why I wanted to come on, and I don't want anyone to think I'm standing up for my dad, because I'm not. What he's doing is not cool, not okay, and needs to be stopped, and he needs to be put on medication and in therapy, and he has needed that for 30 years. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I know people are in the in the audience and are mad that I'm standing up for him, but I'm not. I'm telling you the truth, and the truth is that he's sick, he's not bad. Those are two different things. But I also haven't seen him in 10 years. All I know is what I've seen from Carol, what I saw my entire life, what my mom who was married to him sees, what my brother sees. That's what I know, and I think that those are pretty valid things to agree on when my entire family all has the same thing to say, and not
okay.
someone who dated for less than a year.
Okay. It's it's one of those things. It's difficult, I think, for a lot of people when there is that gap in contact and gap in being able to see what's happening for yourself. But again, I know you keep referring back to the OCD, and I think that's definitely something for us all to think upon, for sure. I mean, how much can your own your can your own brain make real, and how much does Russ take advantage of that, and how much of an expert in that is he? You know, if you're saying that he's been doing this for his whole life and for your whole life, it's it's an interesting point. It really, really is.
That's what I'm saying, is when this has been his truth for his entire life, he's 62 now or something. He's
Sure,
not going to change in the last 10 years of my life. This is who he is. Um, but I do want to say that he is a narcissist. He has immense issues with manipulation, and he can be evil towards the people who love him the most. And it's it's hard to defend his actions, because that's not what I'm not trying to defend it, but I'm trying to get you guys to understand that he's a human being with problems, and he needs help, and he's needed help his whole life, and he's never gotten it.
sure,
But he has hurt a lot of people, including me. I mean, I've been in therapy my whole life. I have panic disorder. I have panic attacks every single day. I have to take medicine every day for my panic attacks. I mean, I am royally fucked up because of this man.
that's a serious that's a
But
serious.
I have to find the human in him, or I'll go crazy. I have to empathize with him, because I I ha- I'm half of him. I have I have the things in him to you know what I mean? Like, I can hate him all I want. I can say he's a psychopath all I want, but the truth of the matter is he's ill, and a lot of the things people are saying are not true, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't hurt a lot of people, and that he should not be around women in an intimate way because he doesn't know how to treat women. That's a huge thing. I mean, a lot of people are asking me on this thing, is what everything Holly said bullshit? No, I'd say 95% of everything she said, in my opinion, after talking to Carol and my mom and getting their opinions when they were in intimate relationships with him, is true. He is abusive. He is verbally, psychologically. He puts you in the ground and treats you less than dirt. That is true. And he did that to me when I was 6 years old until the day that I left. That is true. But the pedophile thing, I personally cannot stand behind. I never experienced it. My mom never experienced it. I think that he's sick, and that's that. So yeah.
Well, I mean, thank you for putting all that forward. And again, I just want to apologize to everybody. My brain is losing it, so I do apologize if I'm not quite on the ball. Cap, have you got some questions gathered up from the side chat by any chance?
I'm just grabbing actually a few of them. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
There's been supposedly Carol's in the chat, and she wanted to have a word, but I'm still waiting on the email.
All right, yeah, no problem. So, what would if you've got sort of one thing that you could say is the biggest misconception in your opinion about your dad? Obviously the mental health thing has been the big underlying thing that nobody talks about. But do you think there's anything else that is a factor other than the mental health? I mean, is there a drive in your dad that do you think do you think there's something else driving him to the excessive levels that he goes to, or appears to go to, I should say, in your opinion?
I love your frozen picture right now.
Me? Does it look good?
Yeah, no, yours is fine.
Him. Okay, I was like, how do I look?
There you go. Now it's.
I'm okay.
Great.
Sorry about that. Sorry. Oh man,
you're like.
I'm holding you just here.
At the end of the day, what Dad wants is attention. And he has always loved Halloween. And he noticed when he did the haunt in San Diego when it was very calm and mellow, and then he started building it up and up. And his mental health was also declining at the same time.
Okay.
He got attention from the public, and now it's booming more than ever, and he loves it. He really does. And he'll tell you this. He's a performer at heart. He's an entertainer. That's what he initially wanted to do with his life, not this. This came after years of trauma and finding a passion for Halloween because it made him feel good to scare people and all these things, but in a lighthearted way in the beginning. And
Sure.
as his mental health declined and his personal life fell apart, he doesn't have contact with anyone in his family, this became his world. Halloween and this haunt became his world. Making it bigger and better and crazier was all that mattered. So he likes this attention that we're all giving him right now. I don't think he likes the things that we're saying about him. I mean, whether or not they're true, which they are.
Okay.
I don't think he likes that, but he does like that he has all this huge platform. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And at the end of the day, he loves doing this. I can't tell you why. I can't give you any rational reason why he loves doing this to people.
Sure. You froze just for a little bit there, Lindsay. We missed the last sort of half of your last sentence there.
Sure. I was saying
it went all the way through.
Okay. Sorry, I beg your pardon. It's just terrible internet. I do apologize.
I can't understand why he does what he does, and I think it's because of all the issues he has and this power complex. He likes being in control of people. He likes taking advantage of people, manipulating people. He likes that. These are all things he likes, and it all has to do with that narcissistic side of him that loves the attention and loves being in control.
Here's a question from Stealth herself. Is staying away from your father helping your recovery?
Yeah. Leaving when I was 13 I was suicidal. I felt like the loneliest person in the world because I was isolated from everybody and everything, just like the same thing that happened to Carol and same thing that happened to Holly.
Sure.
And I was sick all the time. I was always vomiting because I was so stressed all the time. And that's something that an 11-year-old shouldn't be feeling 24 hours a day. Never knowing if Dad was in a good mood or in a bad mood. It was just exhausting, and I had to leave. And I don't think I would be here if I hadn't left when I did. And I wish I left sooner. Okay.
Here's one from Shannon McNeil. Has your dad ever reached out to you or your brother over the years? And you don't have to answer that if that's too personal. I'm just throwing things up on the screen as I thought them.
He's reached out to my brother. I think my brother leaving was a bigger blow than when I left because they had a different relationship. My dad was already very much so in his mental, low when I was born. And I was also a girl, which made him uncomfortable. And so he had a different bond with my brother than he had with me. So I do think over the years, well, I know he has tried to reach out to Russell, and you
Okay.
know, up until I was 13 when I did leave, my brother was a teenager at the time, and he had visited my dad every so often. It never ends well. They always have this dramatic ending, and then maybe next year Russell tries again, and it was just this dramatic back and forth. So
Yeah.
they had a while of trying to figure this out, because Russell wanted to have a father and wanted to have a relationship with dad, but it just wasn't possible. For me, I said goodbye at 13, and I never heard from him again.
Ron, a question that came up in the chat, and actually I'll mix it with another one. Do you feel that the less or the more your dad lost, that the experience he put the people through got more dangerous for the people? Because there is one question that keeps coming up: is was the waterboarding fake?
What Collie experienced?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know how you think waterboarding. I just want to point that out. Like, I don't know how you would do that. Like, would you?
I don't know. He does get physical with people. I mean, he doesn't put needles in them or rip their teeth out, but he does get physical with people.
The first part of that question interests me. Do you think there's a correlation between your father's descent into his mental illness and increase in his
violent behavior?
There you go. Fuck hell. Sorry.
Yeah, and he also didn't have kids he had to worry about. I mean, not that he ever really. I mean, he loved us, but he didn't really worry about us. Whichever woman he was with took care of us. When I was little, Carol was when I was at my dad's house, was my sole provider. I mean, he didn't do anything for me except yell or do crazy things.
And that's when we've talked, like I say, again, I know we're not comparing experiences here, and I'm not trying to upset anybody, but when it's the same with Carol, it was the same with Holly, it was the same with anyone in that inner circle, not the friend zone, the inner family circle tells the same story. And
he loves you, but he doesn't want to do anything for you. And that's like narcissism.
Where do you think that stems from? Where is this self-isolation and wanting the people around him to be isolated? It just seems
something from his childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, he had from what I've heard, is he had a really hard childhood. He also has an issue with lying. A lot of the things that he says, like the $20,000, that doesn't exist. Obviously, you guys already figured that out. Or the fact that he's spent $1 million and so dollars on the haunt. That's not true. He kind of just makes things up out of nowhere. Same with when he says the needles are real, I'm actually drugging you. People always say, like, he admitted it though. You cannot believe that. I mean, he just says things to stir things up. Really, that's what it is. And I think a lot of the things too, he has grown to believe over time because he's said it so many times. But a lot of things he says you can't even trust as being correct because he just says things. What was the question?
Oh, listen, I'm just holding it together. I wish I could remember.
I forgot what the question was.
Like I'm trying my best here. And again,
no, that's fine. I genuinely.
When everyone's watching this back tomorrow and wondering why the host of this is doing such a bad job, third show of the day. Okay, we're running on fumes here. So I just wanted to say that. But I'm going to continue on with the questions. And I say, if you wake up tomorrow, Lindsay, and feel like we've not touched on things that we should have, I do promise you a much more coherent and professional evening after a night's sleep.
Your cam's frozen again, by the way.
Brilliant. That's great. That's
one question that actually came up here, and I was curious about it yesterday. In regards, do you know, to medical staff, do you know if your dad had any people there that were certified and were able to take care of people if they got injured?
Do you mean during the haunt?
Yeah.
That never was a thing. That's not, I mean, no.
So if someone
to my knowledge.
So someone got injured, there was nobody to kind of be like, hey, here's
and most of the time he wouldn't believe them. I mean, same with when I was a kid. If I said anything was wrong, I was lying. I was trying to get out of something. I was, and he really wants to believe everyone is lying to him and everyone is not telling the truth. So, and also it's, yeah, it's that Navy mindset of like walk it off kind of thing. Even though his Navy situation is not as drastic as he claims it was,
Do you,
you still are taught certain things that he has taken with him, and embedded in his children, and also in how he treats people who go through the haunt. The walk it off mindset.
Well, with with mental illness, mentalities, like sometimes you'll pick up ones that are more stronger to use as a mask to try to hide that kind of pain. And from what you were saying, how he doesn't want to admit that he has this weakness. I think that's what he's done, is he's put himself behind this, and he's pushing it so far enough that he's hurting people.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any possibility, and again, this is just my running on fumes brain, do you think with the way that he was with you and your family growing up, do you think the intensity that he's at now, do you think there's any part of that is his connection to his time with you guys and this mindset that he's in and this extreme behavior has any sort of connection for him to, open inverted commas, a happier time, so to say, when he had his children? Do you think there's anything?
I
No?
don't think so. I
No?
think it's been 10 years now.
Yeah.
But I think you really, with Dad, you really are towing the line of like, he loves you, but he doesn't respect you. And he loves you, but he can't do anything for you because he has his own problems he has to deal with. And he loves you, but once you're kind of gone, you're gone. And it's back to his problems. So that's kind of what our life was like. It wasn't ever really about us, which is hard to explain to people when you say he loved you, but he did all these horrible things. And, even now as you're adult, I mean, how can you go your whole life or your children's lives not reaching out, not wanting to fix things, not apologizing, not trying to make yourself better? I mean, we're his only family. No one else talks to him. We're his children, we're his flesh and blood, and he has no interest in fixing anything. And I think the haunt is purely for narcissistic reasons. I don't think it has anything to do with us. And I think that's just what happens when you are a narcissist. You can still love people, but it's not about them ever. It's about you and what you're going through and your issues.
Shannon McNeil's asking, did you ever help your dad with the haunt?
Yeah, I was forced to. I hated it. I was terrified of it. It gave me panic attacks. I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep. I threw up nonstop. Couldn't keep food down because I was so terrified of it. I mean, I'm a kid and I'm seeing these gruesome, bloody things and being trapped in a meat locker to teach me a lesson, or, being scared shitless to, either teach me a lesson or make me learn something or make me stronger or braver. And a lot of
being locked in a meat locker, Lindsay, that's pretty extreme. Like, I mean, was that a punishment, or was that just part of the haunt for you?
It was part of making me not afraid of the haunt. His whole thing was he wanted me to stop being scared of the haunt.
Desensitization, extreme.
Yeah, and so he would make me walk through it by myself. And this haunt, I mean, even at its weakest, even at its
infancy, shall we say,
it was still intense for a child to walk through. It was still bloody, and it was still violent, and it was still terrifying.
Yeah.
And I would say the haunt is one of the main sources of my extreme panic disorder that I have now.
That's actually sorry.
It was just very triggering.
Yeah, the haunt.
And there's a lot of things that happened that I can't talk about without having a breakdown, but a lot of things that he did and things that, again, it's so crazy because to him, he doesn't think what he's doing is wrong. He thinks he's helping me. He thinks he's making me stronger. He thinks he's making me not so weak. He always hated how weak I was and how afraid I was of things. But I was afraid of things because of what he was forcing me to do.
Yeah, did he feel like it was a gift that he was just sort of bestowing on his children, this mental mindset that he believed he was creating, but in actual fact it was destroying you?
Yeah, I mean, a gift is kind of a strange term. I wouldn't say a gift, but I would say that he definitely never thought he was doing anything wrong.
Well, I mean, in his mindset, it must have seemed like that. It must have seemed like he was bestowing his abilities upon his children to.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he never thought any of the things. And I would go to my friends and I would talk about things that have happened, and they were like, "What the fuck?" Like, it was never like, "This is normal." And I always knew it wasn't normal, but when you're
What
a kid and you're being mentally abused and tricked and guilt, all this guilt about, making sure everything's perfect for dad and being a perfect person and perfect girl for dad, it was really
what
hard.
what was it like when you were growing up for having your own friends and having normal
I
kids?
couldn't.
Isolation again, back to the isolation factor, I would assume.
Yeah, it was weird. I didn't actually think about it until I got older about how weird it was, but friends never came. I didn't have my first sleepover at my dad's house until I was in the 7th grade, right before I left, because I had a
Okay.
really close friend who was really interested in the haunt and wanted to work in the haunt. That was the only reason he let her come over.
Okay.
But other than that, friends were not allowed over. I was not allowed over at friends. If
So,
my phone was completely, he would take phones off of, back when you had landlines, so that I couldn't call my mom when I was scared. I couldn't call 911 if I needed to. When I did get a phone, it was taken away from me every night because he knew I would text my mom, crying and sobbing, and just real isolation, especially from my mom, who was the person who I needed the most through all of this. And that's, I think, was the most messed up thing, was that the things that I needed I couldn't get because he wanted to keep me isolated.
and one more question from Sherry on the side here. Do you think if your dad was to get help, you would have contact with him, or would you try and no? No. Okay.
Because yes, he'll never get help. That's the problem. If he was going to get help, he would have done it by now. After you lose both of your children and both of your marriages fail and you've abused every woman you've ever been with, maybe you start to think there's something wrong with you, but that's just not how he thinks. It's always everyone else's fault.
Yeah.
And therefore he'll never get help. And if he did ever get help, I still have no interest in being involved.
And just a question I was seeing up the side there. What is your personal opinion on the manor? And another one that's coming up is do you believe that it should just come to a close, that your dad should not try to pursue this again?
I don't know what would happen to him if the haunt went away. Honestly, it's all that he has. But frankly, that's none of our problems because he's causing so much harm, psychologically and physically to people.
Yeah.
So I absolutely think it should be closed. I think it should have been closed years ago. Like I said, I don't know what would happen. I think it will eventually get shut down. The fact that it's lasted this long, man, is crazy to me. But now that there's all of this stuff coming out of the woodwork and people are so interested and so concerned, I think it will definitely get shut down in the next year or two, hopefully. I think it's despicable. Everything that he did to my brother and I, he's doing to strangers now, psychologically. And it's just weird. At the end of the day, it's fucking weird, you guys. This man is weird. This situation is weird. And that's what makes it so hard to talk about, it's not black and white. It's not black and white. It's a very strange situation, and we all have unique relationships with Russ. And I can only tell my truth about what I experienced. But I hope that it gets shut down. I really do.
Yeah, I think. Do you feel right now? I'm not trying to trigger anybody. Do you think there's any hope in hell of, however you want to word it, an intervention, an extending of a hand, an olive branch? Do you think there's any hope of getting your dad any help? Do you think it's ever good? Do you think there's anything that will get him to admit he has a problem and seek help?
No. If that was possible, my mom would have done it.
Yeah.
My brother's mom would have done it. I would have done it. Carol would have done it. He's been told that he has these issues his whole life. You can't lose every single person in your family and destroy everything you touch for 62 years. And if you still can't think that if you still think there's nothing wrong with you, it's never going to change. There's no helping hand. It doesn't matter how stern you are with him. It doesn't matter how kind you are to him. It doesn't matter how many of you troll him on the internet. He doesn't care. That doesn't mean anything to him. What means something to him is the haunt. That's all that he cares about.
We'll get back to that in just one second. I just want to say, TK, thank you very much for the super chat and just some nice words you there, Lindsay, and of course his TK's reaction to when when he first viewed your dad's sort of content. It is shocking, and I think a lot of people react differently when they first see it. And I'll be 100% honest with you. When I first seen your dad's videos, and it was probably like 5-6 years ago, maybe around about then, I was like, wow. I mean, this looks crazy. Nobody there wasn't a lot of negative stuff certainly in front of me at that point, and you can see how it's captivating. You can see how his audience has grown. You can see why there's always been an interest in what your dad does, especially when the mythology, I mean, he's one man, and the mythology and the just the amount that follows this guy, the positive, the negative, the unbelievable, it's overwhelming for one person to have such a massive impact on so many people that he comes into touch with. This is a random one. This is just for my own personal thing. Has he always been like a big animal lover? Has he been with the dogs and things like this? I mean, there was the greyhound thing. I know. I think Carol touched on that. I think it was Carol that touched on that in one of the streams.
He didn't like dogs at first.
Okay.
He didn't like them because they hump things, and that's dirty and that's wrong. And he doesn't really like animals because they do things that are naturally instinctual for them that makes him uncomfortable. But Carol came along and brought all her dogs, and to my knowledge, from what I saw, he fell in love with them, fell in love with greyhounds. And, I don't know what Carol saw, but what I saw was that he really did love these dogs. Some of them were afraid of him because he has an energy that is scary to a lot of people, especially dogs who are very,
I imagine it's a dark aura that
there
your dad
is.
carries.
Some of the dogs loved him to death, and some of them were scared of him. But I think he loved
just like people in this whole saga.
I mean, he didn't love those dogs more than he loves himself. I mean, he can. It's all about himself at the end of the day. But he loved those dogs as much as I think he could have.
I genuinely am convinced if your dad lost it all, he would be behind a building somewhere, with a dumpster turned on its side, making it into a haunt. He
would be doing it no matter what the situation.
Yeah.
He'd be doing this no matter what. It really is his passion, unfortunately, because it's turned into something so crazy. But he, for some reason, just loves this stuff, and I don't understand why.
Just another question I was seeing there. How have you gotten yourself to the where you are right now? How more physically stronger? Because as a kid myself, like I've gone through some stuff, and you've gone through way more stuff, and it's just like how did you get yourself from that kid to your adult stage? Like what kind of resources did you reach out for yourself?
I dabbled in therapy for quite some time, talk therapy, which never really did anything for me because a lot of my trauma was through PTSD, and I needed to see specific doctors or a therapist that I didn't have access to. So I'm a huge advocate for therapy, but that's not why I am the way I am. That's not how I got over this.
Is there any online, just if you're just for where you're mentioning advocate there, if there's any online websites or any place that you would recommend for people if they were going through this, that they could get help on the internet? If there was anything like that, feel free to sort of open some tabs and get some URLs and just be posting them. And anything that you do post, if you can save it so that we can repost it after the stream's done, basically. But if you've got anything you want to recommend, please feel free to do that so that people know what to go to.
I think therapy is incredible. It didn't necessarily do anything for me, but I also think that's because I didn't have access to the right kind of therapy. When you're dealing with PTSD or abuse or trauma or any kind of mental disorders, cognitive behavioral therapy is always the best way to go. Which, if any of you out there don't know what that is, it's different than talk therapy because it's working at your issues. It's you know paperwork, not paperwork, but like homework and things that you can work on, tasks that you can do, things to make you mentally stronger. And it's absolutely wonderful. I recommend it to all people. I haven't personally experienced it, but once I can afford it, I will see a therapist who provides CBT. Um, but for the most part, for me personally, I don't really know how I got through it. I would give huge credit to my mom, who is like my angel and my best friend. And I wouldn't be able to have done any of this without her. And also medication. I've been on medication since on and off since I was 13 when I left medication for depression and anxiety. And when I was younger, I actually had OCD just like my dad did. It's kind of faded away over time, but we kind of bonded on that a little bit because we both were like, this is weird. But I've been on medication for a while and it saved my life. And I hopefully want to get off of it someday. But for right now, it keeps me sane, it keeps me healthy, and it keeps my anxiety down. So I'm a huge advocate for therapy and also for medication if you really need it.
Just to ask, have you ever used the app Headspace?
I have heard about it, but I've never personally used it.
I recommend it if you
Is
want
it
to.
free?
They have a free part of it, but I definitely recommend trying it. It's a good way to meditate and relax, especially if you're having a lot of anxiety and you need to slow yourself down. It's pretty good. And again, there's things on YouTube that are similar to it that you can kind of go through that actually have them kind of like, hey, you're feeling this way, click on this. That's probably a really good thing, especially when you don't have access to resources. Like I'm in Canada. Same with Ron being in the UK. We do have free resources to CBT and DBT.
Oh,
so
nice.
getting those resources in countries that you don't have it, finding free resources is everything. So if you haven't tried it, I definitely recommend it. It's something that you may be able to fit into your regular routine you have now.
Thank you.
And if it gets real bad, just marry Cap and move to Canada. Well, there you go. You know?
My livelihood and my career makes it so that I need to be in the States.
Yeah.
I wish I could move to Canada.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
We'll find someone to get you out to their Cap. It'll happen one day. Don't worry. We'll figure it out. So if there's any more questions that have been flying up the side there, let us know. So yeah, I'm clearly starting to lose it because I'm starting to make jokes now, and this isn't a place for jokes. All right.
I saw one question about
Sure.
how. Well, first of all,
you guys are much better at hosting this than I am. I'm freaking losing.
Go to bed, my goodness.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be.
I don't need you. I don't need
exactly. This is your night and your platform. I'm just gonna sit here and make sure I don't say anything else. So you guys just have a moment, please.
I just to quickly touch on this whole second location thing that doesn't exist.
Okay.
He has one location and that's it.
Why don't you do some myth busting for us? Yeah, I mean that's
that, and then the whole like obviously what I touched on before with the needles and the teeth pulling, that's not real. A lot of it is mind over matter. I mean, he does do crazy things, but he doesn't inject you with drugs. In my opinion, I don't think that he's a pedophile. In my opinion, again, I haven't seen him in 10 years. Things change.
Sure.
Things happen. I think that he has mental illness, which no one talks about, and I think that's important to talk about. And there's no second location. I think that's all I can think of.
Here's one.
And some of the tours, some of the more famous tours are staged, just so that's clear.
Okay.
And he'd started doing that even when I lived with him, was like staging certain tours to get buzz, and he knows what gets attention. So, but also a lot of them are very real. So, I saw one message about how to handle abusive parents, which that's a big reason why I wanted to come on tonight, was to talk about mental illness and
absolutely.
Like that. And I think that the best way to handle abuse in any relationship, especially with your parents, because that's definitely a toughie, is to understand their illness first and foremost, and to come at it from a human and empathetic point of view. And I think you should do that in all aspects of your life because we're all human beings. And I like to believe that we all have good in us. Um, and we're all just hurt little people walking around the planet with all of our trauma and all of our bullshit. Um, if you're being physically and emotionally and psychologically abused, the best answer is to understand, forgive, and get the fuck out. You know, just move on with your life and leave. Don't let it get worse. Um, and, you know, I've had my fair share of bad relationships because when you have a bad relationship with your parents, it's hard to know what good relationships look like. So I've learned a lot about that. And it really is just knowing what you deserve, even if it's your parents, if it's a boyfriend, if it's a colleague, know what you deserve and how you deserve to be treated.
Yeah.
And if someone is ill, you can't fight crazy. You can't rationalize something that cannot be rationalized. So just get out and take care of yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I gotta say about that.
It's good. It's good advice. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
Josh from the Josh Show is asking, you know, do you think your dad will get mentally worse? And if so, how far do you think it's likely to go?
I don't know how much worse it can get, you guys. I mean,
yeah. I mean, absolutely. It's.
I mean, I don't think he'll ever kill anybody. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But this haunt thing just needs to be taken away, and he needs to find another outlet. Whether that's therapy, and I know he's been to therapy. I mean, he's tried his whole life to try and figure out what is wrong with him, and he just doesn't like to listen to people. It's like 1 second he's like, yes, you're right, I'm going to change, and the next second it's all back to normal.
Do you think any of Russ's fear of never having the haunt is a fear of losing a possible venting outlet for this extreme behavior that he's always possessed? Do you think if he lost the haunt, he would become... Oh, and now listen, I'm not meaning this to sound like a buzz phrase, but do you think he would become dangerous to himself or other people in a serious way if he lost that final thread and lost the haunt completely?
That's definitely possible. I mean, he's already, in my opinion, a danger to himself and others.
Yeah.
Especially those who are close to him. Very dangerous. So I don't know. There's really no way to know with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, the news today in regards to the manor.
No, well, it's gone. Like
I mean, he says that he
says that. I mean, you think he's the master of balancing the positive PR, the negative PR, and just working the whole internet system with regards to what's going to spread his name and get things noticed again.
Yeah, I mean, I think he does that accidentally. I don't think he's bright enough about the internet to really know.
You think he does it accidentally? Love that.
I don't think he knows really what he's doing.
Love that.
But you know,
just so everyone knows what we're talking about.
But I don't believe
it. Yeah. Just so everyone knows what we're talking about. I'm just referring to this post and a live stream. This was a post made subsequently after
rejects. Yikes! That's my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am a Mckamey Manor reject.
Like, it's I mean, like I say, it was people were excited about it and all the rest, but to be honest, it sounds like Russ without the manor is more dangerous than Russ with the manor, metaphorically speaking. So
I mean, it's less dangerous to the public. It's more dangerous to himself and the people who are around him in close ways.
Yeah.
You know, whoever this new girl that he's with, which by the way I think is so weird, him and all his young girlfriends. I'm like, dude, you are an old man. What is going on?
Haley, I think her name is.
Yeah, Haley.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you watch the live streams with them, it's just weird. His attitude with her is just creepy and weird, and you can tell she's uncomfortable and you can tell she's anxious. And I feel bad for her, but you know.
And is that again? I mean, do you think we're just witnessing repetition once again?
It doesn't matter who it is. If it's his daughter or if it's his partner, he will take advantage of, especially people who are weak-minded or people who have any sort of self-esteem issues. Oh God!
And do you think he's got a heightened, acute sense for picking out the vulnerable?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, it only makes sense if you look at all the women he's dated.
More support there coming from Kat. just so you know, just coming up on the screen there for being brave, and you know, I appreciate your thanks for the channel as well. Like I say, all these, this is what feeds my kids, so I appreciate it. I really do. Now, just give me a second. Cap, you got any more questions while I try and find this thing? So thanks very much, Cap. I really appreciate that. I really do.
Actually, I just have one here. Have you actually, no, because you haven't tried to reach out to your dad at all, have you?
Mm-mm.
Have you tried to reach out to anybody who's in contact with him since? No?
I've got one for you. How are you? I mean, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. How's your mum's recovery been? Like, how's that?
She's a godsend.
I mean, how's that? I mean, I don't even know how to phrase this. How's your mum? How was your mum throughout it all? Hang on, I don't know where that beeping's coming from. There's a beeping coming from somewhere. We just have to write it out, guys. There's a beeping. It's in my room. It's a watch. It's gone. It's fine. Sorry, my 3-year-old daughter likes to hide this digital watch around my room.
You have a 3-year-old baby? Oh my goodness!
Oh, I've got a 10-week-old baby.
Go to bed.
I've got a 10-week-old baby, a 5-year-old son, a 3-year-old daughter, and an 18-year-old. So it's a mixed bunch.
Good for you.
Yeah.
God
Thank
bless
you.
Your wife.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. She's an amazing woman, and she really does do a lot to make sure that this platform can exist. To be perfectly honest,
That's good.
Big shout out to Mrs. Swanson there for keeping the minions at bay. Well,
hey, Miss Swanson, you're the bomb. Love you, girl.
Yeah. So, yeah, your mom's recovery must have been equally as hard. I mean, I imagine.
I would say I don't want to make anyone's situation worse, or we all have our own experiences, but to get out of an abusive relationship with a man like my dad, and to also have children with him, that is mindfuckery that I can't even explain, and my mom is the strongest woman in the entire world. And I mean, she's truly an angel. And I mean, I truly can't imagine life without her.
Yeah.
But she had a lot of issues with everything, because she was still being abused by him even after they were broken up, because he just wraps you around his fist, and it's hard to explain. But I mean, even when I was going through abuse, my mom didn't know what to do, because she was like, nothing's physical, he's not hitting you. How do I explain to a court system what's going on? No one's ever heard of this new psychological torture he's doing. Like, no one's, and that he was only doing it to me and Carol. My brother was gone, and the haunt wasn't really that crazy yet. It was just me, and I was completely alone. And I had Carol, but Carol was so under his wing, and she was so abused in ways I can't even fathom, that she couldn't help me. My mom couldn't help me. So I think that really bothers my mom even to this day, that she couldn't do anything. I mean, we were all helpless. And it's just so crazy that this one man had so much power over all of our lives, over all of these beautiful, strong women's lives. It's crazy.
Quick question there, just asking how your brother's doing as well.
Yeah, Russell's doing great. He lives far, far away. In a different state. And he's my best friend. I love him so, so much. He's engaged. He has a beautiful home and a booming business as a music producer. And he is, he has all of the good qualities of our dad, and none of the bad, thank God.
That's awesome. I mean, it's so good to hear the success that you guys have all made from your life since you managed to free yourself from this, because you can see the lasting effect it's had on other people in Russ's life, and people that have been there a long time, short time, people that have interacted with Russ just on the internet and gone through the haunt. I mean, I think you guys are great examples of what can be for those who are currently going through what you went through. And I don't know, you might not know much about the channel. We run a whole series called the Survivor series, where survivors of abuse tell their stories and things like that. And there's so much of what you're saying just resonates from the stories that we've heard and the people that I've interacted with. And there is such a massive percentage of survivors that are the most empathetic, caring individuals that I've ever met, in ways that I couldn't fathom myself coming through the other side of a lot of these stories, even a fraction of how people like yourself have, and through how other survivors have. I just think the strength that it takes, not only to free yourself, but to rebuild yourself, is
it's hard.
incredible.
It's hard to not go on, and I'm sure other people who have dealt with abuse of any sort knows this, but it's hard to not leave furious. And it's hard to not leave feeling helpless and hopeless and like there's no faith in fucking anyone. If someone could do this to me, how could I ever trust anyone again? If someone could do this to their child and not think that anything's wrong with it, I mean, what fucking luck do I have, moving forward? And a lot of people who go through these similar issues do leave the situation angry and sad and lost. And I definitely was for a while. And everyone who's ever left my dad, you go through, I mean, it never leaves you. It's with you forever. I mean, when Ollie's going through right now, she's going to go through for the rest of her life. It doesn't matter if she was with him for a year or if she was like Carolyn with him for 15 years. I mean, this shit affects you. And you have to have faith in yourself and faith in the world every single day. And you have to find empathy in every single person you come across, even the people who hurt you the most. And I think that's a big thing for all survivors of anything to think about, is just have faith and forgive as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, we just had a super chat came in there from Anton. 1 second there, I just want to put that back out there. Free support groups, resource if interested until you can get therapy, Depression Bipolar Support Alliance, NAMI. So thank you very much for that. And like I say, this has all been thrown together this evening, and we will make sure to gather up any links and things like this. I know I kind of threw you on the spot there, Lindsay, with links and suggestions.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't have any links for you guys.
That's okay. That's okay.
My beautiful naked face right
just
before bed.
My naked face.
For you.
That's fine. Don't worry. I'm pretty sure.
Pajamas.
My pajamas. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. My brain's liquefying, so it's all good. Like we're all living it. But I just want to say, if you wake up tomorrow and you want to come back to the platform, you're always welcome. I'm not wrapping it up this now. I just want to reiterate that to you. It's not about pushing an agenda with us. You're going to hear people contradict you, or you're going to hear you contradicting people, and it's just the way it is. It's about the truth. It's about allowing people to have their say, and you're always welcome to, if there's anything that's said in the coming days that you want to come back and respond to, or anything like that, we're here. So just know that it doesn't end. And I swear to God, I heard myself last night saying this after I said it, and I was like, wow. Which freaking TV chat show, freaking out of the box therapy nonsense crap are you spilling when you're like, it doesn't just end after the story ends. We're here for you guys, all the rest of it. But it's true, we are, and that goes for everyone that's involved in this. And you seem to be just killing it, Lindsay. Like you seem to be super together, and it's awesome.
It's all fake. I am a destroyed human being.
One mask to hide the rest.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like there's no shame in saying this, but I am extremely proud of myself. And I think it's good to acknowledge when you're proud of yourself. I'll be 22 in January, and I feel like of everything I've gone through, of everything that my mom's gone through, it's truly just made us stronger and wiser. And I live my life, with understanding and positivity and all that bullshit. So there's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's coming out here and speaking to both of us, that's really, really tough. Like a lot of people would not be able to do that.
And I don't talk about this ever.
I know.
I'm actually shocked I haven't been in tears this whole time, but
I think you have done
the vodka. Just kidding.
I
wish it was vodka.
I think you've done amazing. I think you've done incredible. I wish that I had perhaps not been as tired as I am, and I just want to say, you know, I'm quite happy for people to share all these videos around and use them in their own videos and things like that. Just let people know where you got them from, and you know, just show people like Lindsay and everyone that's been on here that has suffered at the hand of Russ, whether people's perceptions of things are different, whether it's your perception, Lindsay, or whether it's anybody else's. You've all been affected in one way or another, and that's why we're all here. And I really wish, the only thing that I wish was different about this was that there was some, even just a smidgen, like a smidgen, that we could end this whole thing with your dad getting help, making this some epic mega Hollywood fucking success story, right? And him walking out and, you know, realizing everything, it actually suddenly going ping.
I mean, God, that would be so ideal, wouldn't it? But unfortunately, I don't see that as being possible. And that's okay, as long as he stops hurting people and can hopefully move on with his life in some way. I have to move forward with mine, and I wanted to share, you know, little snippets of what I've been through and set some things straight. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to give you guys a new perspective that I don't think anyone's talked about.
I think it's an incredibly valid perspective, and I think this has been years in the making. This perspective, I think this has been. I don't think I truly realized just how massive a deal this is for everyone and for yourself. And again, it's because of my brain. It's 5 o'clock in the morning now. We're doing this razor wire. It's getting me through this. Yeah, exactly. This is actually rosé, and you're drinking the gin. So, you know, we're on the same page here. It's all good. Let's just get really and I'll move to Canada and get all the help we need. That's what we need to do. Let's just do that. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. It's a long commute between work, but we'll figure it out.
Okay. That's all right.
We can make it work. We can make it work. Well, listen, we're hitting the hour and a quarter mark. Like I say, if we end up wrapping this up and you want to come back, or you want to, like, I'm really interested in you processing this over a couple of days and hopefully feeling like any worries you had about coming on aren't going to be there anymore, because
your people are very kind. Everyone's so nice. I was expecting you to be like, fuck her.
Yeah, no, listen, we pride ourselves, our little corner of the internet, we try and keep the toxicity at the door. Like,
that's good. That's hard to do, so that's good.
It is a freaking spicy meatball, I'll tell you that. It's a spicy nugget. My admin team, my team behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, everyone makes this possible. I have the easy part of the job, which is just staying conscious and putting the content out. Do you know what I'm saying? The team that I have are the ones who are running around killing it, and that's the Discord admins, the live streamed admins, everybody. I love you guys, and I just want to say thank you to everyone for, you know, giving me this platform and blah 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 blah. But yeah, so listen, before I literally collapse, all right, I just want you to take a minute, and if there's anything else you want to put out there, and just say, I don't care if it runs on for another 40 minutes, because I want you to have the platform. I just don't want you to feel like I'm wrapping this up, and then, because I know what I'm like when someone wraps stuff up, I'm like, oh shit, there's those 10 ideas I forgot an hour ago. So I just want to just allow you to sort of end this particular session or this particular episode on your terms. I don't want to wrap anything up. I want you to make sure. Oh Jesus! Make sure you've said what you feel like you've come here to say this evening. And again, don't feel like I say, you might never want to do a live again. We can sit down and do a video. There's a whole bunch of options. So just if there's anything else you'd like to add, please do it before I ramble, because I'm rambling. This is rambling. This is a man rambling. All right. I'm just going to turn this off again. Cap, why are you letting me speak? Like, what are you even doing? I'm questioning your abilities, Cap. I'm just hiding now behind the guest. I'm just like, haha, I'm safe now.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah,
Rough.
well,
that's okay. I don't know if I have anything else. I if anyone has any questions that I can answer, because I'm still seeing a lot of questions popping up. I don't want to assume that you guys want to know certain things and then go rambling about something you guys don't care about. So while I'm here, my mom said something. Oh, she said, "I'm proud of you." Fuck. Love you, Linda. Love you, girl. Best mom ever.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm just trying to.
I don't know. Yeah, if I don't, should I look at questions, or do you want to pick?
Yeah, of course. Listen,
I'm
it's probably better that you steer the ship than the wreck of the pilot that's doing it right now. So you just dive in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have any?
I was gonna say, actually, there's a bunch of questions in the Discord.
Shit.
From
That's great.
So
do a lightning round.
Yeah. Lightning round. Yeah. Bonus round.
I already know the answer to this, and I think you already said it during the start of the stream. Jess asked, have you and Carol spoken since all this has come to light? You were saying earlier that you literally just spoke with her.
Yeah. Carol and I didn't talk for like 8 years, and then I randomly messaged or friended her on Facebook after I found out that she had left. The only reason I didn't keep communication with her was because she still was with my dad. And then I, found out she left and immediately messaged her and told her I was happy for her. And we talked and, caught up with each other for a little bit. We haven't spoken in a couple years. And then today I was watching her video of an interview she did, and I messaged her and I was like, I just need to talk to someone about this. I'm confused, I'm upset, I'm mad all over again. And we just got off the phone, and we just had a short little 20-minute phone call, just like spewing out our issues for 20 minutes, but it was good. Carol and I have a really interesting relationship because she was there through all of that, and she's known me. I mean, obviously she only knew me from 5 to 13, but she was a mother figure for me. And was the only person taking care of me when I was at my dad's house. So, we had our issues because she was under the wrath of my father, but she was a really good thing. It was really good that she was there. So
actually, this is a question I just thought about. The term that a lot of people give your dad's actors he has there are the Kool-Aid drinkers. Was that a thing that was spoken when you were little, that when you were helping along?
I've literally never heard of that phrase in my life. The Kool-Aid drinkers? What does that even mean?
It's a terminology that refers back to a cultist-like following. There was a cult leader who had hundreds of followers and murdered them all, or got them all to commit suicide by drinking poison Kool-Aid. Babies.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so funny. I don't know how to respond to that. That's
yeah. Well,
I have not heard of that, but
no, that answers it. That literally answers it, because it's something that's more. I'm assuming with as we all know, with untreated mental illness, things do decline. It probably is something that became more of a common thing, or a common act during more recent times.
It's also so funny. I keep seeing videos of like random little kids that say that they're my dad's kids, and I just want to say the only children my dad have are me and my brother, and we're both grown. So if people are always worried, they're like, "Who are these little kids?" And it's like, it's fake. Those aren't his kids. So if anyone's worried that he's around kids, he's not. We are both grown. So just put it out there.
One question here too is. I don't even know this. I don't know if you know it, Ron. Do you know how old his new girlfriend is?
I have no idea. She looks fucking 18 years old, though. And pray she's 18. I don't know. I also don't know if she's his girlfriend. I mean, when you watch, like I said, when you watch these live feeds of them, she looks really uncomfortable.
Like I was past was past her Facebook last night through a message, and her display picture was him and her.
Thanks. Yeah, I have no idea.
So
I think it's just odd. Hopefully
she's around, around 24, 25. They're saying out there.
Oh, I mean, that's not that bad. She looks very young, but I don't know how old she is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone asking about if you watched the Netflix show that your dad was.
I did, actually. I watched it with my brother. I visited him in where he lives about a year ago when it came out, and we both, were drinking and eating, and we were like, let's watch this while we have dinner. And it was supposed to be like a funny thing where we were like, look at how crazy Dad is, but it became very emotional and like brought back a lot of things, and my brother and I were like sobbing. It was yes, we did watch it. It was traumatic, and just very strange to see that he was getting that publicity, and we were just kind of like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Another question here is, does he actually keep all the onesies that everyone has to wear?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think that
someone found it as a trophy thing.
We're choosing questions perhaps out of the realm of knowledge. Yeah, sure. I mean, sure. We're getting more into like the fan based questions of Russ here, and I don't really want to put Lindsay in a position where we're feeding her questions like that. So,
I mean, I have some answers to things like certain things that are fake or certain things that are.
Well, one thing that came up that I think I'm interested in is, do you know about anything that went on with this van? Like, people keep talking about, I don't know what happened in the van. I was taken in a van. And again, that's just me because I don't know. I'm not queued up on all of the key points, but I know that part of the haunt, there was a van, and it seems to be a bad place. And I don't know if you have anything to add on that, or if
I personally have no idea about what happened in there. Based off of my knowledge of my dad, it was probably more smoke and mirrors than anything else, which, like I said before, does not make it any less real for the victims. But he is a master of psychological manipulation, a master. I mean, seriously, you can be the mentally the strongest person in the world, and that man will wear you down. So if he tells you, I'm poisoning you, I'm putting a needle in you, I'm taking out your teeth, in that moment, you're going to believe him. It's terrifying. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I know there's a lot of sexual abuse allegations with him. I personally don't agree with them because he has a lot of issues towards due to his sexual trauma, and I just don't think he would physically be able to do that to another person.
Sure.
But I also don't know for sure. I haven't seen him in a while.
Well, listen, I don't want to let anybody down, but literally my children will be awake in an hour for school. So we're going to sadly have to start winding this down a bit. But I just want to just repeat myself again. Lindsay, thank you for joining us. I want to just let everyone understand once again that this platform is certainly not taking any sides. We're giving everyone involved in this their chance to have their say. We're going to be talking to as many different people as we can. And I just don't want anyone to misinterpret what we're doing here. Everyone gets a chance to say their piece in their way, how they see it and how they've experienced it. And Lindsay, I think there's no better person to sort of tap into the earlier years of your dad than you. And I think your whole experience and your points towards the mental health are totally 100% valid. And I think you're incredibly brave for being here, and I really just want to thank you for reaching out and for doing that, because I know a lot of people have been really interested in what you have to say. I think we're talking to Carol tomorrow night, which should be quite exciting. So
never thought our life would end up like this.
Yeah,
it's just crazy. I never thought this is where it would end up, but I think it's important.
Yeah, I often think that same sentence, but for totally different reasons. It's just been, this has been a crazy day. But please know, once we get off this, the app that we sent you to where our community is, I'll just give you a message on there, just so if you can respond to me on it, just so I know how how everybody use it, and I'll basically put some of the community around you so that you know you've got points of contact. No one's going to harass you, and we'll make sure that you're safe. And there's a couple of community members that I really would like you to talk to specifically.
Yeah.
And they may be able to offer you some good advice. And
That would be great.
wicked. Well, listen, again, when you wake up and you wonder what the hell you did last night, we're here for you.
I'm really not drunk. It's really water.
It's fine. Yeah, no, it's absolutely fine.
I wish it was alcohol.
It's just, you know, this has obviously been something you could have talked about for years, and you've chose to do it tonight. And, you know, I just want you to know we're here for you for as long as you need, and we're here for you to present anytime you want. Okay, so
that means a lot.
Everybody that's been in the side chat this evening, thank you for joining us. Matt, thank you very much for being awesome. The admin teams, I'm sure, have got sore click fingers this evening. I'm sure they've been clicking away and doing their job amazingly. The new admins that have just joined recently in the side chat, you're all doing a great job. And yeah, thank you so much. And I really hope that this isn't the last of our conversations on the channel. I really hope that if people do have questions and things like this, we can retouch this. And I look forward to just touching base with you after this live. So thank you once again, Lindsay, for coming and doing this.
Thank you.
I think
Thank
we can
you
all appreciate that. So literally, before how many times have I said literally as well? Like, it's one of those.
No, you're really off your rockers right now.
I am. I literally just started.
I'm just teasing.
I just started eating the razor wire powder out the tub.
I mean,
at one
it's
point,
5
just
o'clock in the morning.
handfuls of it. Just yeah. Oh man, let's just end this.
All right, boys, we'll go get some sleep.
Yeah, exactly. And once again, thank you everyone. Thank you everyone that's donated. Thank you to everyone that supported. Razor wire links are below. Emails below. Come and see us on Discord. Come and sign up to the Patreon. And yeah, once again, I love you all. And from me, Ron Swanson, as always, guys and girls, be safe out there. Thank you very much.